Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I'm your host, Seawall, checking in as I do each and every single week to give you the latest and greatest information on the Washington Commanders. Before we go all the way off the deep end, before we go all the way off the deep end, let's just go ahead and go through the housekeeping items. Okay, can we do that first? All right, here we go. This is a live Bowie television recording. Everything we say and do here will more than likely end up on your television screens. Verizon Channel 11, Comcast Xfinity Channel 77 each and every single day, 1:30 to 2:30, and on the weekends during the noon hour. Make sure you're subscribed to Bowie TV at BCMC TV Maryland on YouTube, where you can see not just the Culture from the Couch series, but many of the great shows that come on television that are also available on YouTube. If you have joined in the live discussion on Facebook, make sure you hit that love button and share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. If you have joined from YouTube, make sure you hit the bell and you can still drop the link to all of your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. Drop a fire emoji in the chat so that I know that you are watching, so I can give you a shout out. And we can go ahead and get right on into the conversation. Oh, but first, another housekeeping item. Make sure you say hello to Mama and Papa Waller, my parents, because they're always watching. Mama Waller's in the chat. Papa Waller watches later, or maybe sometimes live, because you never know. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. I see the Seawall Sports and Entertainment Chaplain Mazdak is on as well. Again, hit that love button, drop a fire emoji, share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. There is a lot to discuss. Yes, we're starting the show a little bit earlier than we normally do, because there's some things I need to tend to, because it is a short week and I have to be in multiple different places before we get going, because it's a short week. It's Beat Dallas week. But before we even go to that, because who has real time to talk about that, truthfully? Let's just go ahead and get into the conversation, shall we? Let's just go ahead and get into the conversation. You all know the drill. We play this game of what's your one word? Win, lose, or draw. And sometimes just because I ask the question of what's your one word. And this is the what's your one word to describe the Commanders' loss to the New York Giants. Definitely want to know all of your one words. And you got to have a couple of one words, right? For sure. What are your one words? And Mazdak has already jumped in and said ugly. My sis Joy, Seawall team member, always in the chat. Pitiful. And if you resonate with any of these one words, make sure you give them a high five or a shout out. Kim Perry says terrible. Let's see. Joy says silly. Any more one words come through? Listen, I'm going to pop those up on the screen. My one word, I simply said, and I'm going to use this. I said, this is, and then my one word is unacceptable. I said, this is unacceptable. This has just gone too far. This has gone too far. It's upsetting. Here's another one word. It's unacceptable. It's upsetting. It's gone beyond disappointing at this point. And I see Darius has jumped in and he says coaching. And I will tell you, I have said a few times on this show that no one guessed this. No one guessed this in terms of just what we're all watching. at all, right? Just nobody even knows what we're watching anymore. Um, and it seems soon as you think they may have hit a stride in some areas, it gets worse, doesn't it? It just seems like it gets worse. And I am going to share a couple of the media scrums with the team. Terry McLaurin, Jonathan Allen. I am going to share some of those in a moment. But this is a short week. And I'm just going to speak from a division perspective right now. How you haven't won, the Commanders, they haven't won one division game this season. Not one. Not one. Not one. And it almost, and sometimes it's, and I saw Neil's comment, which we put up on the screen, and it was like beyond not being prepared to play. It was almost beyond that. It was almost like they forgot how to play in some instances. It's really unsettling. Seems like as soon as the team announces that there's a sellout crowd at home, it's like the pressure gets to be too much. The moment is too large. It's too big. It's because now we've had these conversations, right? We talked about them not playing 4 quarters of football, right? When are we ever going to see a complete game of football? We've talked about the defense and the challenges on defense. We've talked about all of these things. And here we are in week 11, and they look worse than they did the week before. And it's like, well, what happens? What happened? What is going on? And Coach Rivera does say this word, the consistency. What could possibly be happening where week after week, you look different? Where could that be coming from? Where is the root of that? Where could it possibly be stemming from? Those are all questions that I know that I have, because you got to get to the root of an issue. Because if you take a moment to watch what other teams are doing, and you've heard me say this, some teams are getting better as the season goes on, barring any injury, right? Because there's some teams that have experienced tons of injuries just to key players. The Commanders have experienced some injuries, but not to players where you would think, the game can go on. The game can live on to see another week. But this has now gotten beyond. I mean, we were talking about a New York Giants team where it almost seemed like you just allowed Saquon Barkley to single-handedly beat you. Just that's all it is. And you make some progress. You see some good things. And then the following week is just not there. And if you've just tuned in, you're watching from the Culture from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders Update. I'm your host, Sewall. This is a live Bowie television recording. Everything we say and do here more than likely will end up on your television screens. Hit the love button, drop a fire emoji, share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. We're going to go into a couple of videos. Terry's, the one that we captured from Terry, is pretty short. So we're going to watch Terry really quickly. Drop in the chat your thoughts on what he says in this snippet, and then we'll talk some more, and then we'll get into the presser media scrum with Jonathan Allen.
set the tones for winning.
Yeah.
Are you surprised and frustrated that it hasn't happened so far?
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to win at the end of the day. Everybody knows how extremely competitive I am as a leader, as a player, and I'm not the type to point the fingers, but at the same time, we have to. Each guy has to figure out how you're going to affect this team in a positive way to help us win. And if you're not, then it's probably not the place for you. But at the same time, I'm just going to continue to work and be ready for my opportunities. Sometimes I don't necessarily know when they're going to come, but I just try to stay ready and be positive and try to be part of the solution. So we still got a good part of the season left. We got another division opponent this week, so I'm just looking forward to that opportunity.
So I literally walked away from the game and I said, what is something that I have to say that's positive? And if you have anything positive to say about the game, drop that in the chat. Because I walked away with one thing. Coach Rivera talked about KJ Henry, and I agreed with that. So I said, okay, so that would be two things. All right. But the only thing that I could come up with that was positive, which really it wasn't positive, but I said, you know what? Way to go. And that was on the late hit on Sam Howell. What a warrior. What a warrior. Right? And what he was able to do in trying to get that touchdown. And when the late hit came in, I said, hey, when the fight broke out, that was my positive thing. I said, hey, one thing about it, they are not going to let anybody, they do not want anybody to hurt Sam. They don't want anybody to hurt anyone on their team. But these guys don't play about Sam. They don't play about him. And so when the fight broke out, that was really my positive takeaway. I said, wow, you look at Curtis Samuel, who's one of the most cool, calm, collected people. And that hit was worth getting put out for. And I wasn't mad about it. I was like, well, hey, can't hit your quarterback like that. You got to take up for your quarterback. That was my positive thing, because I said, hey, those guys really love each other. They weren't going to tolerate that. Now, I must say, if I'm being completely honest, I absolutely was concerned. And Sam, does have a chest injury. He was limited in practice today. So it is what it is. And I want to see that, right. Sadly, the fight was probably the only positive in the game. You really don't know what to say in moments like these. I'm just being honest. You don't know what to say because, hey, yes, we're out there. But as I watch the game, it's like the saying, it was all good a week ago, even when it really wasn't all good. But offensively, it was absolutely better a week ago. And then you see some of the blunders and mistakes that we saw in this game. And you're like, what are we watching? It's difficult to stay objective as media and stay in the journalist reporter role while you're still giving your opinion on how to move things forward. But we're going to keep talking about this, because at this point, I said, you wanted to see more running of the ball. They did that. The ball ends up on the ground. Okay. You want to see more, passes, and now you're throwing now here come the interceptions. Here come the dropped passes. It's really unsettling. And no game is going to be perfect. There's not going to be any game where there's going to be just a perfect game across the board. And if you play a perfect game, then look out, because a bad game is coming soon. So there's always going to be something that you would bring up and say, this is where you need to improve. This is where things can get better. I mean, even in the Super Bowl, you see mistakes made. These things happen, yes. But when you are in week 11, going on week 12, you have not won any division games. You're playing again on prime time on a Thursday against the Dallas Cowboys. What's going to happen on Thursday? Is everybody even okay enough to play and be in a mindset of winning? How do you even sell out crowd again? And this is how it's received with this type of play. Is it like, again, I'm going to go back to the point of, is it too much? Is the moment too much? I mean, if you're playing in the National Football League, it's hey, all due respect to you, all due respect to Tommy DeVito and that team, because you're a professional football player and there's professional coaches on that sideline as well. But you can't get 9 sacks and then have 6 turnovers and end up losing the game. What is even the point? How does that even happen where you have that many sacks and still lose the football game? That's a heck of a takeaway. 9 sacks, third string quarterback playing on the other end, still professionals. And you lose the football game. I posted on my page, and I don't know if you all saw it, my colleague from the Washington Post, Nikki Jabvala, she posted it, where Giants wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins, in his media scrum, his presser, he was talking about the team and the defense. And he literally said it in one of his responses, that it was clear that the defense hadn't made any adjustments. They were just going to stick with the plan. And this is where you have to ask yourself, is sticking with the plan working? Is it working? Because if it's not working, don't you think it's wise to adjust? Would it be a smart thing to do if you're getting beat to just change? And this is with 9 sacks. You're getting sacks. The offense adjusted, but you didn't. So let me go to Jonathan Allen's media scrum. And while you all are listening to this, definitely drop in the chat what you think what you're thinking about what he's saying. And as Joy has here, like, love, share. If you're just tuning in, hit the love button. You still have time to share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. Because, hey, listen, I saw Cameron Mingo's comment. He's still in pain after that loss. There's still games to play, everybody. There's still games to play. One being on Thanksgiving Day in a couple of days in Dallas. And I've had fans reach out to me. I've had people talk to me. We'll talk a little bit more about that after, this media, the media presser with Jonathan Allen. But I'm like, how can I encourage people to watch this? How can I encourage people to spend their hard-earned money to go and watch in person? Spend their Sunday afternoons, spend their Thanksgiving afternoons watching this in the hopes that you're going to see something different than what you have already seen. How do you say all of that with a straight face to tell people to just keep showing up? It's going to get better. It's going to get better. It's week 11. Not real sure what better even looks like at this point, because I thought we were there, at least offensively. I saw the progress, and then they just went right back. Already knew, because we've discussed this on the show, that the defense they're not holding up their end of the bargain. We'd already discussed this. We've already said that. But we saw the offense take a step back as well this week. Huge step back. It's a lot to discuss. It's a lot to think about. And I have to be objective across the board and just say that was bad. This is not good. How you make it better, we can talk about that in a moment, because it's a lot to digest and dissect. But first, let's check out the media scrum with Jonathan Allen.
Pretty good day on defense with all the turnovers kind of putting you guys in a bad position, I guess, when you keep giving the ball to the other team's offense. Do you feel like it was hard for you guys to get a momentum in a positive way?
It's hard to say. I mean, obviously, when you lose a turnover battle like we did, you're going to lose. But as a defense, we got to be able to help our offense out. We had a lot of opportunities to get them off the field or get a turnover ourselves and, put them in a position to score. So, I mean, I think defense played okay, but we definitely could have made a couple more plays in our offense out.
John, it was interesting because you guys had 9 sacks, I think, constantly had pressure, but also gave up a lot on the back end. Like, how do you even view the performance? You don't get 9 sacks very often, but you gave a lot up too, so how do you view it?
Hard to say. We got to go back and look at the film. It's kind of been the theme of the season. We'll play really good, and then we'll just have 4 or 5 minute lapses a game that allow for big plays and big games. And until we clean that up, we're never going to be the defense that we can be. So, can't really speak too much about the game until I go back and look at the film.
John, you've seen a lot of different versions of this team each year. It's like, oh, quarterback, it's this, it's that. What do you think right now? What is keeping you guys from having momentum to win games?
I would say learning how to win. When you look at teams around the league who are consistently successful, they know how to win different types of games. They know how to win ugly games. They know how to win offensive games. They know how to win defensive games, special teams games. So for us, we just have to learn how to win in different ways.
John, to that point, learning how to win, is that a player's thing? Is that a coaching thing? How do you learn how to win?
I don't think it's fair to call out only the players or the coaches. I think we both, coaches and players, equally have a hand and we're responsible for what's going on the field. So it's definitely not how we envision our season going right now, but we're 4-7, and that's the team we put on film. So that's who we are. And until we clean up the things that we're doing and become more consistent and learn how to win, that's what we're going to keep doing.
If you could fix it, just the frustration of one step forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. He plays for 2 quarters, and then all of a sudden, 3 explosives in a row.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating. I mean, it goes back and forth. One game the offense will play good, next game the defense will play good. Until we, put it together, this result that's going to keep happening. So, it sucks. Don't really have too much to say, but we just got to go back, look at the film, and get ready for Dallas in a short week.
Jumped in late. What do you feel DeVito was able to take advantage of, especially in the first half?
It's hard to say. A couple plays, I feel like I could have done a better job of putting more pressure on them, making them more comfortable in the pocket. They did a good job of putting him in position to make plays, and at the end of the day, he's an NFL quarterback. I know people aren't going to want to hear that. As a young rookie, I don't know where he's drafted at, but he's in the NFL for a reason. He made the plays he needed to make, to get the win.
Any positives at all from the 9 sacks? You got some people involved, some people on the stat board this year?
Yeah, no, KJ, I was happy for him. After what happened in New England, happy for him to get a sack. Casey's playing lights out. I'm really happy for him. We played good as D-line. I'm not going to say we played great, but we played good. A couple plays we wish we could have back, but I think some of the younger guys are really starting to step into their roles and make plays for us, and now we just got to keep building and growing with them.
John, do you feel like everybody has the mindset they need to be this season, and I find that consistency?
I think so, but at the end of the day, the thing that's hard is only one person knows someone's true mindset, and as a team, everybody has to they have to take a hard look at themselves. You're either part of the problem or part of the solution. So, that's up for each individual to look at themselves and figure out what they're doing or not doing that's preventing us from winning.
You're either part of the problem or part of the solution. True. Jonathan's comment also about you got to give equal to coaches and players, because I honestly was like, well, from an offense perspective, right? Let me go back to them, because they were surprisingly not good at all. And I'm like, this isn't so much about the play calls. This is about execution, right? So it definitely, consistency is a thing. Absolutely can appreciate the acknowledgement from Jonathan Allen about, not being consistent, not doing the job. But why does that need to be something that you have to tell people once you get to this level? I think that's where I was kind of like standing there and taking in everything he was saying. And I'm like, well, definitely the how to win. I understand how to win, but you win by going out there and being better than the other team, at least trying to. You can't beat yourselves by not making the play and not executing. So how it's, we can go all day long. He's right. It's equal. Everybody's got to get the smoke. You all have heard me say that. Hey, I give Jack Del Rio a hard time. I have a hard way to go. But if you out there missing tackles, if you're not paying attention to your assignment, if you're blowing coverages, allowing those then I have to do accordingly. And it's something has transpired where you can see it. It's just the lack of motivation. Now, why would you want anybody to be motivated? Do I think that was a game they should have lost? No, I do not. No, I do not. But then when you see all of the issues and the mistakes that were made on the field, definitely to me, offensively, that was a player execution challenge. Straight up. That's what happened on that side of the ball. We're talking player execution, not protecting the football, not adhering to the plays that are being called, not being ready to go when the ball is getting sent your way, misreading your receivers in their routes. That's what happened on offense. To me, that had nothing to do with the coaching. It had nothing to do with the play calling in game. In game. Okay? That's not what that was. That's player execution, what we saw. On the defense, Jack didn't make the adjustment. He didn't make the adjustment. If anybody had any guess, we've been talking about it since he's been the coordinator. So that's been happening since he's been the coordinator the last 4 years. So that's been happening. And then it just took Giants wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins to say it out loud from an opposing team perspective. We noticed they were just going to keep sticking to their plan. So once we changed, they kept sticking to their plan, took advantage of it. Who wouldn't? So that's where I saw that. But at what point does it click for everybody? And I'm going to go back to a point that I was sharing with you all a few weeks ago, is that maybe it's the message. Maybe there needs to be an understanding. And I know this is going to be like, well, what should motivate you? Well, hey, Jonathan Allen just told us last week, money isn't really a motivator. And for some people, it isn't. It really is not. But what is going to motivate you? What is going to make you, what needs to be said? How does it need to be structured? What? And really tap into that. Start to really get into the place of, hey, listen, you're fumbling the football, and I haven't seen you fumble a football in a few weeks. You didn't even do it. That's why we drafted you, right? Yes, I'm using Brian Robinson Jr. as an example in this moment, right? I can use Chris Rodriguez. I can use Logan Thomas. Sam Howell and De'Ami Brown missed each other a couple times yesterday. You can say, hey, you're missing these. What do we need to do to correct that? What do we need to do? How do we need to make this better? Is it a film process where it's a collective and then there's a position group watching film together and then you're doing individual film sessions so that people understand exactly what you should have done better? Because, hey, listen, giving somebody a look or knowing that they're disappointed in themselves, that's all well and good. But is the message being told, don't do it again? Because at a certain point, you just got to say, hey, we're trying to win this football game and you're preventing us from doing that. I need you to be the player we know that you are. Get out there and get going. No, you're not going to win every game. We're not asking everybody to win a Super Bowl every year, but at least look like you're trying. At least look like you're trying and care. Now, let me go back to this. I want to go back to another topic. And if you're still hanging in there, love button, fire emoji to let me know that you're still hanging in. Coaching from the Couch series, Washington Commanders update. Seawall, that's me, live Bowie television recording. And so let's talk about, now this is going to be a tough message. I'm just going to tell y'all, this is going to be a tough message, what I got to share. There's 30 years of issues that now it seems like everyone is expecting new ownership to take care of in 4 months. 30 years of strife and issues that everyone is anticipating the ownership to do something about right now, today. This is not going to happen, okay? Not today, not right now. Because first and foremost, we're in a short week. We're in a short week, so it's just too difficult to make those types of things happen in a short week. Who knows what the future may hold, the near future. And when I say near future, I'm talking about Thursday, Friday, right? But what I will say is, let me remind you all that Denver Broncos head coach Sean Payton told it during Super Bowl week that the Commanders' new ownership group reached out to him wanting him to coach the Commanders. Okay? He's already with the Denver Broncos, but I want to remind you all of that because I think it's an important point to say, I don't think the new ownership group is unaware that they would like some changes to be made. They're not unaware. Sean Payton told it. He told it. Do y'all remember that? Drop in the chat, I remember, or drop in the chat, this is new news to me. They are aware, clearly. But they bought the team and the sale wasn't final until less than a week than training camp. So what are they supposed to do? Not only that, everyone. What change could be made now that would satisfy what needs to happen? Let's be for real. Let's be like, can we be real for a moment? Love button, fire emoji. If you just want to be real, I want to bring everybody to just, if there are other coaches that you would like to see lead the team, they're still coaching. If there are other players you would like to see playing for the team, they're still playing. Anybody you would want potentially would hopefully be playing or coaching at least through January. maybe even through the second weekend in February, right? The change now makes you feel better emotionally, right? It makes you feel better emotionally, but that's a hard thing. That's a tough thing, right? That's a tough thing because people that take care of their families and all that, it's not an easy conversation to have. It's a very difficult conversation in any industry, in any setting. But let's be very clear about something. Whomever you would even want, you can't interview them until after their season is over. So I want everybody to just relax. I said this in the title, right? Let's relax or not. But I want to help. I do. Because I really don't know what to say about this because I just said, hey, but let me go back to this point, and then I go back to the point of not knowing what to say at times. Who is going to replace? Because let's also be real about something. Everyone knew the offense was going to have challenges. But has the offense done enough to impress a new ownership group? I'm just asking that question and throwing it out there, right? Have they done enough to impress a new ownership group? That's just food for thought, okay? But anybody you would want, how you gonna, seriously, I'm being for real this time. Like, seriously, y'all. Who they gonna hire? If you don't have somebody from within that you're confident about as the new ownership group, then you gotta just 30 years of strife is very difficult to fix in 4 months. And I do think it's unreasonable and unfair to want this new ownership group to do something now. Here's the reality. Everybody stuck around for the last 30 years. I'm being serious. The team is worth $6 billion. So somebody was buying it. Somebody was buying it. But here's the thing. I gave y'all some information, and I saw in the chat, some people said this was new news to them. The ownership group, he told it. Sean Payton told it. So everybody concerned about this, that, and the third. No, that's not to be concerned about. I think people have spoken and things get out, and that's been told. So, hey, at this point, just wait it out. Just wait it out. You cannot expect these people to change 30 years of problems in 4 months. And you can't expect them to change 30 years of problems in 4 months and it feel good. Again, it'll feel good emotionally, but business-wise, this stuff takes time. It really does. Because while we're moving on to what we want to see from a coaching perspective or play, okay, well, who's picking the players? What about the talent evaluation process of this? See, this goes deeper than just coaching. Who's picking the players? Who's doing the scouting? Who's doing the evaluation? That's something that is not going to happen today. And I will say this. Of course, there's someone out there. But if they had confidence in the coaches that were in-house, there would have been a change by now. If there was confidence in who was already there. And of course, you reach out to coaches. But people are still playing football. They're still coaching. Those are things that you can't just allow people to come in next week. Even the Commanders had to wait till they made it official with Eric Bieniemy. They let Scott Turner go, but then they had to wait. They had to wait. And so that's why I'm trying to remind everybody of these processes. It's not about whether a change is going to happen there. There's absolutely a change going to happen because Sean Payton told it. I'm just reporting out and sharing what Sean Payton had already told. Okay. So that's what I'm doing there. But I want everyone to be very clear on how the process works. Because wanting them to do something today is not going to happen today. That's just fact of the matter. Now, hey, there might be something that happens Friday or next week because it's longer, or maybe not. Right? So, as long as everyone is clear, because Sean Payton told it, that the new ownership group has an idea of what they want, who they want, right? I'm also going to give you this little tidbit of what I thought about. Because Sean Payton, he's not having the best season himself. Now, is he? And let's also go back to that. The Denver Broncos are a team that just was sold. They rebuilding. They're going through things. It looks kind of ugly with them too. So is everybody going to be prepared in the event you got to get or give a bit more time for even the potential new folks to get some things right? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So take a look, a couple things regarding coaching. And because I started to really say, well, what kind of coach is Sean Payton? What would make someone say, okay, I want Sean Payton to be my coach? What are some attributes of Sean Payton that makes you say, and I'm going to go back to this one right here about the Broncos. I made the comment about the Broncos because the Commanders made them look pretty bad week 2. So if your team's so not good, would you want, if I just beat you, what I want you for? Shout out to Papa Waller. Can we get a Papa Waller shout out real quick? Because I remember when Coach Ron Rivera was hired, I'm just telling the story. It was the week after the Commanders beat the Panthers. My father said, I'm just being real honest here. Why would anybody want the coach that I just beat? Why would I want a coach that I just beat? That's how you got to think. I also want to say, and I appreciate this comment here. The thing about it is, who's the next winning coach? Because I can look at Sean Payton and I can say, okay, here's some attributes about Sean Payton that I think would be great, right? But who's the next one? Because see, here's another thing I think is happening across the league. And I saw many comments about Bill Belichick, for example. And there's a generational change happening here. So who's the next brilliant mind? It's no need to go through the household names at this point because there's a generational shift happening. Just being honest. So even if you were to get a household name, are they building their staff with individuals that understand where the game is right now, where it's headed, and the current generation, and how they think and how they operate and how they're motivated and how they communicate? Because here's a fact. Something is off in Washington when it comes to the product. Something is off. Whether it's the communication, something is off. But in terms of trends and coaches, Sure, you can bring in someone with historical wins, a Super Bowl here, a mini Super Bowls there. But how about getting a staff of the next ones in line? Who's the hot offensive coordinator right now? Not offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Who's the hot defensive coordinator? Who's the next hot position coaches? Who are they? Where are they? Where are they? And if you believe you have them in-house, because see, here's the thing with new ownership, I can bring everybody I want. It's just like when you buy a new house. I'm not keeping no old furniture. And some people, they do. They do keep old furniture. They keep the furniture from the previous owner. They do. But some say, I'm gonna fix up the place. I'm gonna fix that place up. Matter of fact, I might renovate it. I might remodel it. You might drive down this street and not even recognize this house because I done painted the shutters. I done redid the driveway. I done did everything. It's not even the same house. It's the same address, but it's a different house. So these are the things that I'm going to encourage people to think about. Who's the next one? Do we even know? Have we even figured it out? Who's the hot name right now? Which teams have defenses that are like, okay, wait a minute, who's that defensive coordinator? Who found these players? Get down in the minutia of who has found these players. Who was the scout or the talent evaluator that found some of your favorite players in the league? That's who you need to find out who they are when it comes to that. So listen, I'm going to tell y'all, it's not about change coming because the proof has already been told. What it is, however, is about what it's going to look like for the future of the organization and understanding that culture change and a culture change of winning, that in itself is a change in the culture. A team that's been doing something for 30 years, winning has not been a part of that. So even winning is a change in the culture. So who's going to start that trend? And I also want to ask you all this because I talk to people and I say, well, what does winning look like to you? Because see, when someone asked me, general manager, well, who do you want to be? Who do you want to see the next GM? I said, well, whoever came in and won a Super Bowl within 3 years. And then the person said, okay, well, Kansas City. Okay, well, yeah, Kansas City. They mentioned Pittsburgh. They mentioned San Francisco. They mentioned another team. And I'm like, okay, yeah. But it's been a long time since three, because they mentioned a third team. I can't remember who it is. It's been a long time since 3 out of those 4 teams won a Super Bowl. Truth be told, they have winning regular seasons, and they may have even won a conference championship here or there. But what does winning really look like? Because that'll help you make your decisions as well. Are you gunning for a Super Bowl championship off the break? Let's get it. Let's go right to the top. Or are you saying, I want to be a consistent division winner, playoff contender? Because that could alter how you want to go about this too. I'm also going to say this. If no one says this is your North Star, meaning this is what I want you to do in this amount of time, or else you will be replaced. Well, how does anybody know what the measure is of winning? Because winning looks different. You can win a division, right? You could be a division winner. You could be a conference winner. You could be a Super Bowl winner. There's 3 different levels of winning. So if this is what you want, you need to go and find the model. And I love this comment here from DJ. It's teams out there that you can follow the model. Follow it. And it doesn't always be It's not always the historical names. I think it's time for everyone, myself included, to really get smart on, well, who is out there? Who are the hot names? Who are the scouts and the talent evaluators that are drafting the top players in the league, the Pro Bowl players in the league? Because that's who's going around to their games. It's not the NFL coaches going to their games. It's the scouts and the talent evaluators. The GM goes as well. I need to know their characteristics. I need to know their attributes. I need to know what they're really good at and where they struggle. Because if I like the way that they think, then I can go and find others that are similar, if that's the trajectory I want to see my organization go on. But even with that, it might take a little bit of time. That was a bad game yesterday. That was an awful game. And I'm going to go back to this point, and then we're going to shut down for the evening. And that is simply this. I give the teams that I cover, and people ask me this all the time. They're like, how do you cover a team where you grew up being a fan of the team? How on earth do you do that? And shout out to my big brother, Lake Lewis. You all tag Lake Lewis right now. Let him know that I'm talking about him on this show. Let him know. Candy brought your name up on the show. When I first started in the business, I always mention those that were before me that have helped me over the years. And as soon as I got into the business, they gave me advice. And Lake is from this area as well. And he said to me, you can't be a fan anymore. You can't be a fan anymore. You got to give it up. You got to let it go. Paraphernalia, whatever it is you do, if you want to be effective at this job. And that goes for everybody. I have people tell me all the time, I don't know how you do it. Some of the top names in sports analysis, broadcasting, writing, they're like, I have no idea how you sit here and watch this, because it's difficult watching a team that, but it gets difficult anyway, because you spend so much time with them, you see what they're doing in practice, and then in this case, you get to the game and you're like, whoa, where is that all coming from? So shout out to Lake Lewis for that advice, because I have a rule. I let them make me mad one time, like where I can feel it, like disgust, like upset. I let them get me one time a season. They get one time. They don't get multiple, because I got to be able to do this, and I got to be able to do this fairly and objectively, right? Not, well, because you're around these people. They're your co-workers. You got to be able to talk and deal with it. One time. They get me one time. So I was fine yesterday. I was okay. I'll let you all guess which game it was, because they've already used their strike with me. If they had not used the one game where I'm allowed to feel some type of way or get something, it would have gotten used yesterday. But I'll let you all guess which game it was, where I was like, because yes, it has happened this year. I see the question from Al Williams that has it happened? Oh, it has already, they've already used it. So I see a couple of guesses coming in. I see, DJ said his was the Bears game. Nasdaq said, he's guessing Chicago. Al Williams thinks it was the Bears game. Everybody thinks it was the Bears game. It was not, because I had predicted a loss, unfortunately. I see Harmony here that said the Eagles. Nope, it wasn't that. Nope, it wasn't the Bills. They used my one. Candy is upset. The one strike with me, that I felt like I got to get my mind together. It was the first Giants game. It was the first Giants game. I was because that was the game that I knew in that game that what I was watching, what we all thought we were going to see, what we had based on just knowledge and being there all the time. I'm going to use my objective sense, and here's what I thought I was going to see this season. Then the other part of me, which was hoping that it would just be better this season. It was the first Giants game that I realized, no, it wasn't better. It wasn't going to be better. And here we are yet again. It was that game. And that was also the game that I said they may not win a division game this year. And that's troubling. So I felt like that was going to surprise you all, because you have to know how the thought process goes. You got to know what you're watching, and you got to accept some things, especially when you're looking at it objectively. Thursday, hey, everybody, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Do not let them upset you. Okay. Do not let them upset you. Yes, I am traveling for that game. I will be in Dallas. I will be there. And so we'll connect again next week. There will not be a show Thursday night, but I will be there covering the game. So make sure you are tuned in and locked in to Seawall. What is it? Seawall SE. I'm on all the places. So happy Thanksgiving. And let me tell you all, I'm so grateful for each and every person that tunes into this show live, that watches the show afterwards or listens in to all of the commentary afterwards. You know, this, you know, all jobs are hard. There's no job that's harder than the others. But I often, my show script was done early yesterday, but I know the passion of this fan base because I was once a part of it. I get it. I do. And I'm able to have those candid conversations with players and coaches about those things as well. But I also have to be objective in telling you all what it is and what it isn't, and not, you know, do the feel good talk sometimes when that's what it is. So I will be working on Thanksgiving. I am looking forward to it. Just because I hear that, you know, Jerry Jones and the Cowboy staff they're always very hospitable. Let me just say that. They're extremely hospitable. There's a great staff there. So I am looking forward to it, but I'm especially grateful for all of you. So thank you for watching. And hey, the Commanders going to have to thank y'all for being fans, because y'all sticking it out real good. But listen, enjoy. Do not let them upset you, whatever the case may be. Okay. So you all, look, have a great one. There's still time to share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. And I will see you guys again soon.